Welcome to Vanadium. I'm Chris Rankin. The more I learn about this mad world, the more mysterious it seems. Until recently, for years, I led an entirely different second life most nights when I went to sleep to dream. An entirely separate set of friends and family, a different job, a different world, but a rich one. For around 4 years of nights, I took part in a consistent, realistic existence in a parallel world that for a while seemed like the only one I'd ever known. Over the years, I completed an education at what over there is referred to as mystery school. There, I studied the connection between science and magic. I was also the dumbest student there. After a while, I began to realize I was in a dream, and I could begin to remember my waking life. My dreams began to become lucid, and I started being able to direct them. It was also possible for me to will myself, to use my dream awareness to bring me back to my dreamscape, where I went more and more often. The two worlds began to blur together for a while, the world of the conventional human Earth and the other world. Like this world, the world of mystery school was wonderful, frightening, confusing, and like the one we all know, it was a world at war. So what is the purpose of dreaming? From an evolutionary and survival perspective, sleeping and dreaming don't make much sense. Daily, long periods with a total lack of awareness of the environment opens up all kinds of risks. Humans evolved in a world of snakes, jaguars, potential starvation, and maybe the scariest, the threat of other humans. For us and other animals, the need to sleep is quite a vulnerability. Unless animals derive something absolutely critical from sleeping and dreaming, time and evolution would have pushed us to stay awake. Over time, there would have been genetic mutations, allowing those with less of a sleep requirement to slowly outlive the 8-hour crowd, until sleep took at least less than a third of the day. As well as science has started to understand physiology and biochemistry, sleep, this most serious requirement for basically all complex life, remains without an identified drive or cause. Dreams are the most mystical part of life that most people can agree at least exists. And when you think about it, a dream is not that much different than the experience of life. A dream is a succession of images, ideas, emotions, sensations that occur in the mind. The only variation from regular waking life is that dreams happen during certain stages of sleep, typically the REM or rapid eye movement phase, instead of the hours spent awake. The scientific discipline dedicated to the study of dreams is called onerology. How much we dream during the night will shift over a lifetime. Babies spend almost half their sleep cycle engaged in dreaming, while the elderly spend less than a fifth. Blind people often dream with their other senses, hearing, smell, touch, and taste, especially if they lost their vision before the age of 7. This has led some scientists to hypothesize that dreams are a defense mechanism built up by specific, more highly flexible portions of the brain in order to keep them from being appropriated for other purposes while the animal is deprived of sensory input during sleep. Opinions about the meaning of dreams have evolved through time and culture. There's the Freudian theory of dreams, the idea that dreams reveal insights into hidden desires and emotions. Other prominent theories include those suggesting that dreams assist in memory formation and problem solving, or are simply the product of random electrical activity in the brain. Sigmund Freud, who I've discussed on this podcast, and at times criticized, developed the discipline of psychoanalysis and wrote extensively about dreams and their interpretations in the early 20th century. He explained dreams as manifestations of one's deepest desires and anxieties, often relating to repressed childhood memories. He believed that virtually every dream, regardless of its content, represented the release of sexual tension. Freud had a way of bringing everything back to sex. The guy couldn't even smoke a cigar without thinking of penises. In his book, The Interpretation of Dreams, he developed a psychological technique to interpret dreams and devised a series of guidelines to understand the symbols and motifs that appear in our dreams. In modern times, dreams have been seen as a manifestation of the unconscious mind, Just like the experiences in regular life, dreams range from normal and ordinary to overly surreal and bizarre. Dreams can have varying natures, such as being frightening, exciting, magical, melancholic, adventurous, and sexual. The events in dreams are generally outside the control of the dreamer, with the exception of lucid dreaming, where the dreamer is self-aware. A lucid dream is a type of dream where the dreamer becomes aware that they are dreaming. During a lucid dream, the dreamer may gain some amount of control over the dream characters, the narrative, and the environment. However, this is not actually necessary for a dream to be described as lucid. And lucid dreaming has been studied and reported for many years. Prominent figures from ancient to modern times have been fascinated by lucid dreaming and have sought to understand the cause and purpose. Cultivating the dreamer's ability to be aware that they are dreaming is central to both the ancient Hindu practice of yoga nidra and the Tibetan Buddhist practice of dream yoga. The cultivation of such awareness was a common practice among early Buddhists. Early references to the phenomenon of lucid dreaming are also found in ancient Greek writing. For example, philosopher Aristotle wrote, "Often, when one is asleep, there is something in consciousness which declares that what then presents itself is but a dream." The term lucid dream was coined by Dutch author and psychiatrist Frederik van Eeden in 1913 in an article called A Study of Dreams. Many different theories have emerged as a result of scientific research on the subject, and even been shown in popular culture. Further developments in psychological research have pointed to ways which this form of dreaming may be utilized as a form of sleep therapy. And there are really two main methods of initiating a lucid dream. So there's the DILD method, the dream-induced lucid dream. And this is where something within the dream triggers the dreamer to understand that they are dreaming. This is frequently the way it manifests for me. And then there's wake-induced lucid dreams, the WILD technique. And in this case, the dreamer moves from waking to dreaming with no loss of awareness. In 1968, Celia Green analyzed the main characteristics of such dreams, reviewing previously published literature on the subject and incorporating new data from participants of her own. She concluded that lucid dreams were a category of experience quite distinct from ordinary dreams, and said they were associated with rapid eye movement sleep. Green was also the first to link lucid dreams to the phenomenon of false awakenings. Despite the fact that such personal accounts of lucid dreams have been described for centuries, the topic faced skepticism from some scientists and philosophers, in part due to the lack of objective evidence for the phenomenon. This began to change in the late 1970s and early 1980s. However, with the first validation of lucid dreaming as an objectively verifiable phenomenon occurring during rapid eye movement sleep, building on prior research that showed that shifts in the direction of gaze within a dream can be accompanied by corresponding movements of the sleeper's eyes, lucid dreamers were asked to move their eyes in a distinct pre-agreed upon sequence as soon as they became lucid. One thing I've found consistent with my mystery school dreams is that time passes very differently than it does here. One night in the real world corresponds to what seems like about 2 weeks over there. It's a place that seems simultaneously from the future and from the past. There's astonishing technology, but a weathered, almost antiquated feel to the buildings and the cityscape. The ocean is angry and powerful over there, the city where I live having to erect a massive structure to protect it from the sea. These dreams are where I got the idea for the setting of my novel, Break the Bastion. There was recently a very interesting article published in Current Biology, and it even leaked out to the popular press as well. I saw an article in Vice about it. And the article in Current Biology is called Real-Time Dialogue Between Experimenters and Dreamers During REM Sleep by Karen Konkali. I'm just going to read a summary of the paper. Dreams take us to a different reality, a hallucinatory world that feels as real as any waking experience. These often bizarre episodes are emblematic of human sleep, but have yet to be adequately explained. Retrospective dream reports are subject to distortion and forgetting, presenting a fundamental challenge for neuroscientific studies of dreaming. Here we show that individuals who are asleep and in the midst of a lucid dream can perceive questions from an experimenter and provide answers using electrophysiological signals. We implemented our procedures for two-way communication during verified rapid eye movement sleep in 36 individuals. Some had minimal prior experience with lucid dreaming. Others were frequent lucid dreamers. And one was a patient with narcolepsy who had frequent lucid dreams. During REM sleep, these individuals exhibited various capabilities, including performing perceptual analysis of novel information, maintaining information in working memory, computing simple answers, and expressing volitional replies. Their responses included distinct eye movements and selective facial muscle contractions, constituting correctly answered questions on 29 occasions across 6 of the individuals tested. These repeated observations of interactive dreaming, documented by 4 independent laboratory groups, demonstrate the phenomenological and cognitive characteristics of dreaming can be interrogated in real time. This relatively unexplored communication channel can enable a variety of practical applications and a new strategy for the empirical exploration of dreams. So a lot of my research came from this article published in Neuroscience and Biobehavioral Reviews. This was published in 2019, and the title of the article is called "The Cognitive Neuroscience of Lucid Dreaming." And I'm going to pick some really interesting things that I found in here, some ways to potentially enhance lucid dreaming. This is from section 5.1, called "The Effects of Acetylcholinesterase Inhibitors on Lucid Dreaming." As discussed above, lucid dreaming is associated with increased cortical activation, which reaches its peak during phasic REM sleep. Given the relationship between phasic REM sleep and lucid dreaming, as well as the role of acetylcholine in REM sleep regulation, agents acting on the cholinergic system have received particular interest. In an initial pilot study, scientists evaluated the effects of donepezil, which is an acetylcholinesterase inhibitor, on lucid dreaming in a small group of participants, n equals 10, who all reported prior experience with lucid dreaming. On each night, participants received either 0 mg placebo, 5 mg, or 10 mg of the donepezil, with a dose order counterbalanced across the 3 nights of the experiment. 9 of the 10 participants reported at least one lucid dream while on donepezil, while the one other participant reported a lucid dream on the placebo. Following on these results and additional pilot research, LaBerge, Lamanca, and Baird conducted a double-blind, placebo-controlled study in a large group of participants, 121, all with high dream recall and also an interest in lucid dreaming. The first goal of the study was to quantify the size and reliability of the effect of the acetylcholinesterase inhibitors on lucid dreaming. The second goal was to test the effectiveness of an integrated lucid dream induction protocol that combined cholinergic stimulation with other methods, including sleep interruption and the mnemonic induction of lucid dreams, the MILD technique, which trains participants to use perspective memory to induce lucid dreams. Glantamine, a well-tolerated and safe acetylcholinesterase inhibitor, was found to significantly increase the frequency of lucid dreaming in a dose-dependent manner. Increased incidence of lucid dreaming was observed for both 4 mg, this was for 27% of the participants, and at 8 mg, 42% of the participants, compared to 14% of the participants for the active placebo procedure, which included the induction techniques. Glantamine was also found to be associated with significantly increased sensory vividness and environmental complexity in the dreams, which might be expected given the general intensification of REM sleep and associated dreaming triggered by this sort of cholinergic stimulation. And I didn't see anything about this in my research, but I suspect that nicotine in the form of a vape or a lozenge or something safe like that, not a cigarette, should do the same thing. A choline supplement might also help things along. Another lesser-known acetylcholinesterase, also a cholinergic stimulant, huperzine, might also affect with lucid dreaming using the same effect. And there could also be a synergistic compound effect by using these chemicals together. They're all pretty well tolerated. And this paper also reviewed, this is sort of interesting, the potential benefits of electrical stimulation to induce lucid dreaming. Now, this is not the type of old school, fry your brain type electric shock therapy. This is using just very light, low current electrical stimulation. So this is from section 6.2, titled The Effects of Frontal Transcranial Alternating Current Stimulation on Lucid Dreaming. A study by Voss et al. In 2014 reported a more pronounced increase in lucid dreaming by applying transcranial alternating current stimulation in the gamma frequency band over the frontal cortex. The study tested 27 participants for up to 4 nights in the sleep laboratory. The transcranial alternating current stimulation was applied for 30 seconds after 2 minutes of uninterrupted REM sleep to the frontolateral scalp regions at several different frequencies, from 2 to 100 hertz. Stimulation was delivered through 2 pairs of electrodes with anodes at positions F3 and F4, respectively, and cathodes over the mastoids close to TP9 and TP10, respectively. Participants were then awakened and completed a dream report and the lucidity and consciousness in dreams, the Lucid Scale. The Lucid Scale measures dream content on several different factor, analytically derived dimensions, including insight, control, thought, realism, memory, disassociation, and affect. The authors reported that they were able to induce lucid dreams with a success rate of 58% with 25 Hz stimulation and 77% with 40 Hz stimulation. I mentioned earlier that my mystery school dreams became lucid after a few years. At first, the self-awareness was fleeting, but I got better at it with practice. At times, when I was sufficiently focused and I was feeling adventurous, I could actually fly. Actually, it was more like float, without any sense of inertia or resistance. And when this happened, it was really exciting. It's also been suggested that those who suffer from nightmares could also benefit from the ability to be aware they are indeed dreaming. A pilot study performed in 2006 showed lucid dreaming therapy treatment was successful in reducing nightmare frequency. This treatment consisted of exposure to the idea, mastery, and of the technique, and lucidity exercises. It was not clear what aspects of the treatment were responsible for the success of overcoming nightmares, though the treatment as a whole was said to be successful. Australian psychologist Milan Kolic has explored the application of principles from narrative therapy to clients' lucid dreams to reduce the impact not only of nightmares during sleep, but also depression, self-mutilation, and other problems in waking life. Kolic found that therapeutic conversations could reduce the distressing content of dreams, while understandings about life and even characters from lucid dreams could be applied to their lives with marked therapeutic benefits. There's a dark side to lucid dreaming as well. Sometimes something can follow you home. Sleep paralysis, or night terrors, are characterized by a half-dream, half-awake state, where one can often be present in one's own bedroom with a malicious entity, in terror but unable to move. There are eerie commonalities to many different cases of night terrors over the centuries they've been recorded. It's been a while since I visited my other life in the world of mystery school. In the months since my last stay, I've had other, different dreams, some with varying levels of lucidity. I've tried to focus and bring myself back, but it hasn't worked. I've been putting into practice the techniques I've been learning about during the research for this episode. So far, without much luck. One thing about me, though, I'm hard-headed. I have trouble giving up. I know one night my head will hit the pillow, and I'll drift off and be back with my old friends from mystery school in that strange city by the sea. Thank you very much. This is Chris Rankin with Vanadium.